Your dominion is over the earth, it's not in the church.
How can you convince a youth in the church not to run to the world to go and become better? What's the difference between a Christian counselor and a non-Christian counselor? How can we separate that position, that calling, that ministerial calling of the pastor and also the counseling part? Because they've made us to believe that once you're a pastor, you are automatically a professional, trained counselor.
There are some questions that the counselor will ask you that pastors will not ask. I know about 3 pastors that are certified counselors. Some of the pastors were part of the people we trained because they knew that they needed that training. So there are pastors who are understanding now that this thing has gone beyond the 4 walls of the church.
We have a lot of single lady all over who get to that point. Some make wrong decisions, some give up, and some remain under that rock bottom. They fear to come up. It's not there. How were you able to manage this pressure? Because these days you see a lot of out of pressure. Somebody is afraid that time and age is tickling. The next thing, they're going to freeze their eggs. The next thing, they're going to pay surrogate. So you see a young lady who is not married, but she's pregnant. And you're asking, they say, no, I want to have a child and keep. Not giving attention or minding what is going to happen to this child.
Real Talk with PJT, Pastor Jackie Talena.
Hello everyone, you're welcome to Real Talk with Pastor Jackie Talena. People call me PJT and I love that name. Well, today's episode is so emotional to me. It is very, very, important. It's something that I've looked forward to over the years, and today it is happening. The reason is the guest I have with me today is somebody I love so dearly, somebody I respect, and somebody who is related to me biologically. As a matter of fact, she is my younger sister, and having her in this studio today makes a whole lot of difference. Her name is Jennifer, and Jenny, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And so interesting to have you on Real Talk with PJT. Please, can you introduce yourself to my audience?
All right, everyone. My name is Jennifer Ajanigo-Idachaba. I'm a family life coach and a faith-based counselor, and I'm also a behavioral coach. And my focus is to help people heal and become self-aware, get to discover themselves, and begin to fulfill purpose. And my desire is to focus on youth, because they are the ones that will become the adults tomorrow that will make the world a better place. So I focus on young people, and my desire is that they become fulfilled in life.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, talking about, your focus being on youth, that is so big and at the same time so challenging, because the youth are very, very interesting people to be with, and at the same time very delicate to deal with.
Yes.
Now, in this modern age, it seems like youth are actually in charge of everything. When you talk, about finance, economy, the youth are leading. And looking at, my space, which is a religious space, the youth also are beginning to wake up, and they are countering a whole lot of things. Now, how can you help? I mean, how do you manage or handle a Christian youth of today who want to, be part of the modern technology and at the same time want to be, a born-again Christian, let's put it that way. So how do you manage them?
Okay. Before now, the kind of Christianity that was presented to us is the Christianity that sees one as when you become born again, the only thing you have to do is to stay in the house of God, pray, and just serve God. Out there, give me Jesus and I don't want the world. That's what was sold to us, which was a very wrong narrative. But the answer to this question is in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, when God said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness, and let them have dominion over the earth. So the assignment that God has for everyone is to to have dominion. And your dominion is over the earth. It's not in the church. So we need to begin to help our young people understand that we have been born to have dominion out there. So if a young person today who is born again begins to understand that the dominion out there, not just for people like Davido or for Beyonce or for Pella and all that, that me too, I have something to give, their perspective will begin to change.
Wow. So meaning that, what we focus more on is, the reality. So basically what we are looking at for is that let them be self-aware and then walk in the dominion that is actually, meant for them. Now, talking about this issue of dominion, it is true that the youth of today are self-aware, and they, just like you said, from the Christian perspective, they walk in dominion. Now, how do you answer a question whereby the youth of today are asking so much that you told us, just like you said, we should come to church and we're going to be rich. We should come to church and we're going to have dominion. We should come to church and we're going to rule. But looking at people in the world, some are atheists, some are not even born again, some does not even know the four walls of the church, and they are doing very well economically. How can you convince a youth in the church not to run to the world to go and become better? Because what the world is offering, when you look at it to an extent, is better physically than even the spiritual part of it. So looking at money makes you comfortable. I mean, luxury is good. And then everything a youth desire to have is out there in the world. And coming to church, you are sitting down and you're praying for 3 years. And they have told you just stay and pray and this will work out and you're not seeing it. How can you answer this question that's been going on silently in the mind of the youth?
The knowledge is progressive.
Yeah.
And we had the knowledge of the fact that we were taught that the church, when you come and you accept Christ, everything you want to be given to you, which was a very wrong narrative. But now that the realization is being given that you have a part to play. You have to work, you have to grow, you have to increase in knowledge, you have to become self-aware, you have to become purposeful. And we have people like late Charlie Kirk, who was not just ministering to the church, he was ministering to the whole world. But his faith did not die. He was doing what others out there are doing to make the world a better place. But at the same time, he was still preaching the gospel. So you can do both and still minister to people and still become that person you want to be, become that engineer, become that doctor who still preaches the gospel but minister to the world.
Wow, that's so interesting. Now, you've had so many certifications. You're a counselor, you are a trauma-informed coach, marriage and family
life
engineering, coach and the facilitator. And then here you are with it, and you're a Christian counselor. Now, what's the difference between a Christian counselor and a non-Christian counselor?
A Christian counselor is a counselor that uses the knowledge of the Bible and the biblical principles to try to walk a person through their situation. But the professional counselor out there uses theories and knowledge of the secular world and medical approach, we call it clinical, to help that person walk through their situation. So a faith-based counselor uses the Bible, focused on the Bible, knowing that no man can be transformed without Christ.
So in other words, he's a professional and also, faith-based. So he has both
so
tools.
I can approach
so
use both.
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
When I have to use the faith-based, I use the faith-based counseling approach. And when I have to minister to somebody who is not of the faith and needs that counseling, I use the professional approach to minister to the person.
Now, this is so interesting because these days, I've been a pastor's wife and being a pastor, I see a lot of people go to their pastor when they have needs, issues. Sometimes some of these things they actually are running to their pastor for a therapeutic, and they need a therapy, they need coaching, they just need healing, they need mentorship. And without being able to separate this, they run to their pastor, and when you ask them, they tell you that, we're going for counseling. As a matter of fact, a pastor wake up in the morning and is dressed and go to the office, and you're like, oh, what? Half of the day he uses it for counseling. And then during the process of the counseling, the man will tell you that your problem is spiritual, go and do deliverance, go and fast for 40 days, go and do this, go and do that, you understand? And sometimes even after doing that, the problem is not solved. Meaning that, these pastors are not therapists and they are spiritual leaders.
Yeah.
Now, how can we separate that position, that calling, that ministerial calling of the pastor and also the counseling part? How can we separate these two? Because they've made us to believe that once you're a pastor, you are automatically a professional, trained counselor. Does that really apply? Being a pastor, automatically a counselor?
Okay, well, like I said earlier, knowledge is progressive. There was a time that the people who could help people come out of their challenges, emotional trauma at that point in time in history were people who were clergymen. And so people ran to them for help. And like Karl Marx said that the religion is the opium of the masses. So people ran to church feeling that, okay, that's the way I can find solace. So that gave pastors the place of, I can just help you with your emotional trauma. Even if I can't take away the pain, at least I can numb it. So they used the word of God and the knowledge that they had to numb people's problems. But now that we have come to the realization that therapy is different from being a pastor, giving advice, just giving advice. So pastors who wants to become counselors, who wants to be able to counsel their members appropriately, will have to go through school, have to be certified to become professional. If not, all they are doing is that they're just pacifying you, but they're not giving you the real solution. So that's why people come back to the right place, the same problem, and tomorrow they come back to you and say, pray for me, I was going through financial situation and I'm still in financial situation. A counselor will not just pray for you. A counselor will tell you, what have you managed your finances well? Are you having problem? Do you have a job? There are some questions that the counselor will ask you that pastors will not ask you. All they do is to tell you, don't worry, God is going to make things better. But we know better now.
Wow, that's so interesting. So now, can we now say that it is better and advisable and it will help us more as pastors if we have like a department of counseling where we employ professionals to do this and then help these people heal and give them the solution, like you say, instead of numbing the problem and making it look like, oh, we are really helping you, and in the essence, it's like recycling an issue that is not solved. But the question here now I want to ask is that, how safe and secured are the pastor to want to open that office, knowing fully well that counseling has been attached to them, and it is also part of the thing that give them that self-worth and acceptance and keep them above? Because when you're meeting somebody to help solve your problem, you're looking up to that person because you know he has a solution. But in this case, they really don't have all the solution. They have some of the solution. They don't have all the solution. And now to make it more easier and more professional, and then to bring the healing and get us to that place of dominion, is good to have a counseling department with hired, paid professionals who are doing this as their own full-time. But my question now is that, how secured will the pastor be to allow this be?
I know about 2 churches here in Abuja that have their counseling unit. And we have, I know about 3 pastors that are certified counselors, because they know that they are going to be in that space where they will have to minister to people. So they have gone through certification. I think it was last year we had a training for a church here in Abuja that was trying to set up a counseling unit for their church, because they felt like the pastor couldn't do that because he was not certified. So, and even some of the pastors were part of the people we trained because they knew that they needed that training. So there are pastors who are understanding now that this thing has gone beyond the 4 walls of the church. So these are people, daily situations that need to be dealt with, and not just giving them messages from the Bible just to pacify them.
Wow. That means somebody can call on your organization and you can go there to train them and then give them the professional training and skills needed. Wow. Please, pastors, if you hear that, this is a very simple, free solution wherever you are in the world. You do online?
Yes.
So that means all over the globe, you can do this training.
Yeah, sure.
Wow. This is an opportunity for you. I think you need to contact Jenny immediately, and then you will be able to see how, she can help you to balance this. Now, this is very, very emotional for me and interesting at the same time, because being your sister, I've seen you grow. I have seen how you have become so balanced, and I have seen you cry, I've seen you laugh, seen you dance and all those things. Now, there is this narrative that we have societally and even in the church as well, that when you get to a certain age, you must be married. And if you're not married, you're not complete, you're not fulfilled, something is wrong with you.
Yes.
There's a spirit pursuing you somewhere. I mean, you are not just fit, you understand, to be in that circle. Like, they see you like the odd one.
Yeah.
And as a result of that pressure, a lot of ladies has gone into marriages that damage them more. Some abusive marriages, some even end their life, all in the name of trying to fit into the society. And here you are. You're not married, you're waiting on God to bring that angel, which I know will come soon from heaven, to bring that right person to say. But in the process, I see you doing so many things. Now, tell me about fulfillment and marriage.
Okay.
Because you should be the right person to tell us at this point.
Yeah. Over the years, there was a time that because of the nature of the environment we grew up, it became very, very difficult to stay at this age that I am and you're not married. But working with God over the years has helped me to come to a level with God. There's a level you walk with God. That's you and God have an understanding. You are no longer in that place where you're afraid of anything. And one of the things that have helped me to be able to manage my life without feeling stressed over, there was a time that I was stressed, but I remember God telling me, Jennifer, give me your Isaac. Give it to me. And I began a journey with God that He said I should fulfill and pursue purpose. Now, the moment I began to pursue purpose, that fear, that anxiety died.
Wow.
So now the passion and the joy that I see within me is to make sure that I'm fulfilling purpose, seeing people happy, seeing people healed. Anytime I see somebody coming out of their trauma, I am happy and I am amazed and I feel fulfilled. So the number one thing is not marriage. The number one thing is fulfillment, because if you're not fulfilled, even if you go into marriage, you're still going to have problems. So I'm glad that God has brought me to a place of fulfillment. Now that even if I walk into any marriage, I'm not afraid of anything, and I'm so fulfilled with God that marriage is like a secondary thing to me right now. It's no longer a primary aim that I'm running after now that I'm of age.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. See, that marriage actually is not what fulfilled you. I keep saying that on this space. Marriage is not fulfilled. It's not what fulfilled you. Purpose is.
Yeah.
So pursue purpose and every other thing will come into place, with time. Now, I also want to ask this question because we're human. And then there are certain times things did not fall into place. And then we begin to think that I am behind, talking about motherhood. It's possible that you had some of your friends whose children are grown now. And maybe some of their children are teenagers. And then here you are, you're still not married. And when you look at those children, you're asking God, were there those moments of brokenness where you've come, to your rock bottom and say that, look, it's like all is over for me. When you look at motherhood, I've not even started. So how am I going to? And then, so what did you do? How do you handle those moments? Because we have a lot of single ladies all over who get to that point. Some make wrong decisions, some give up, and some remain under that rock bottom. They fear to come up. It's not there. How were you able to manage this pressure? Because these days, you see a lot of out of pressure. Somebody is afraid that time and age is tickling. The next thing, they're going to freeze their eggs. The next thing, they're going to pay surrogate. So you see a young lady who is not married, but she's pregnant. And you're asking, they say, no, I want to have a child and keep. Not giving attention or minding what is going to happen to this child growing up and without that identity of fatherhood.
Yeah.
Because the mother becomes a father and the mother. And not even knowing that the trauma this thing can create, or the child is going to live on a lie, believing that there was a father somewhere who died, or and a whole lot. So how were you able to navigate through this and you did not bow to those pressures to do anything and you're still here?
Yeah. It's normal to feel like that after some time, when you see all other people's children and you're wondering, oh Lord, when am I going to have my own children? There was a day that was so overwhelming. But I've learned, like I told you earlier, that to walk with God, I talk to God like my friend. So I tell him everything about how I feel. And God has brought me to that place because I tell him everything. He has a way of arranging my mind in such that it takes me one day at a time. And in my walk with him, he kept bringing me to that place where, I've realized that with all these things, I'm not downplaying the fact that when you have children, there's anything, or you don't have children, there's anything wrong with that. But our primary assignment here is not just to come here, marry, have children, and go. Those children are supposed to be people who are to reveal God's glory. So the assignment of every child you bring into this world is to reveal God's glory. So if God decide that, okay, you don't have a child yet, there are other people's children around who are there to bring God's glory to the world. And that's what I'm doing. Wow. So I began to focus my energy on other people's children to make sure that they become fulfilled.
Wow.
And in doing that, God took me to another level where I don't know how he did it, where I'm not sad about where I am right now. I'm very okay, very happy, very balanced, not afraid of anything. I don't feel inferior if I'm around people who have children. I don't feel inferior around people who are married. There was a time I felt like that, but when I understood purpose and I walked with God, I don't know, he took care of all that.
Wow. So here, please don't go bowing to pressure, because pressure may lead you into so many things that you may even later to regret later on in your life when you eventually get into that marriage. Okay, finally, as we wrap up, like we're still talking about this, know, and were there moments in trying to get solution? Because these days you see somebody running to this prophet and they give them the prophecy. You do so much, but eventually the years stay clocking and the husband hasn't come. Or you run, you go do other things. There are sometimes you start running for meetings, for programs. Maybe there you can meet a spouse. So you go for both secular program, you go for church program, you go for political programs, all these meetings with the hope that out of pressure, where there those time and where there things you do. We'd like to hear from you, please.
All right, thank God you're my sister. And and you're a pastor. So there were times that because of the pressure from the family, you want to, they'll tell you, oh, are you sure you're not choosy? Are you sure it's not the devil? There's no altar fighting you. We've gone through all those prayers of altar. We have broken every altar. We have done everything. We have done all the sacrifices, everything. Even prophets have told me that I should go and buy food for all the elders in my church to eat. After that, I'm going to marry.
You are to take them to a restaurant. Not even, cook for them.
Yes, take them to restaurants.
Spend
about
your own
13
money.
All elders and feed them.
5-star restaurant.
Yes, sure.
Oh, no.
But thank God the elders were very considerate. So when we got there, they told me, no, I should just buy them something. I shouldn't spend so much money. But that's how much.
So if they had, sorry to cut you, if they had asked for 3-course meal,
I would have run away.
So you were not going to obey prophets.
I was telling myself, I said,
this is your last.
This prophet I'm obeying is because my pastor is the one that brought the prophet. So I believe that I don't want to disobey my pastor. That was why I obeyed. If not, I told myself
at that time you told
I had already walked into a level whereby I said, no Jesus, except you stand in my front by yourself and you tell me this is it. If not, if any prophet tells me anything about doing anything to marry, I'm not going to do it again. So that was it.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yes.
Such a great time having you here. Please
Thank you
hear
for
that.
having me.
Don't run doing stuff.
No, don't
you
run
can
ahead of
still
yourself.
make it. You can still get married.
God is
and we're
faithful.
trusting God that you will meet that right
Sure,
man.
sure, at the right
and then
time.
Thank you for all you do for
Thank
people's
you.
children. And thank you for, how far you let yourself out for God to
Thank
use you.
you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank
Such an
you.
honor having you here. And to every single lady listening to us here, please don't rush. Don't go do stuff that you will regret later, and keep doing what you're doing. The one that touched me most is you are working, with other people's children, and that's, make me to believe that God will definitely give you your own, and He will balance it and make all things work out for you at His own right time. And for those of you that want to contact Coach Jenny or have her to come do a counseling training for you, this is her address, this is her contact right here on the screen. So please copy, reach out to her, and she'll be able to come help you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. This is Real Talk with PJT. I hope it made sense today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Real Talk with PJT. Pastor Talena.